everyone, welcome back to A Potent Dose of 3. Today we're going to be talking about being empaths in healthcare.
Actually, welcome back to A Potent Dose of 3 Crybabies. Like she said, in this episode, we're going to be talking about how we basically struggle as being sensitive and empathetic in healthcare.
So do you know what empaths are?
No.
Okay, so empaths are basically like, it's beyond the feeling of being able to understand. You truly take on someone else's emotions and feelings.
Yeah, like you
it's
really
not, yeah, it's beyond like, oh, I understand you. It's like you feel what they're feeling. Like you really feel it.
Yeah. Not being sympathetic.
Mm-hmm.
It's like other.
I was reading and it says that scientists are divided whether this is truly like able to be explained scientifically. And apparently there are mirror neurons. Mirror neurons allows you to experience emotions that someone else is experiencing, and apparently some people have more mirror neurons than others. So
I'm curious to know how many I have.
A lot. For real, same. Same.
Well, let's get into it.
Let's go.
I don't know. How does this show up for you? I don't know. Put you on the spot.
For me, like, this is how I feel, honestly. Like, I don't have to know you at all. Mm-hmm. But if I see you, like, crying or distressed, like, I take on those emotions. Like, I can know nothing about you, but I feel it.
You feel it. Like, you literally feel it.
Yes. and for a while, too, it was, like, it became something negative in a sense because I remember, like, I would be in a room and that energy, I took that energy and it consumed me. Like, It was beyond me able to control it. Like, I immediately took it and I knew I took it and I didn't know how to control it because, I don't know, I attributed it to that to being an empath, but I think it's a work in progress. Like, I'm learning how to balance being an empath. Yeah.
And I feel like that's almost, for me, that's the hardest part is that balance and switching over from being an empath to something negative. Like, for me, it's like, oh, I hate that I'm this way. Like, I don't want to pick up someone else's
I don't like it. Yeah, I don't like it.
But then other people will look at it and say, oh, it's a good thing you do have those emotions and you're able to feel what another person is feeling. But then again, me, I haven't been able to control it. That's what I'm struggling with right now.
When did you guys notice you guys were empaths? Like,
all my life. I feel like as an adult, I'm more aware of it. As an adult, I know that there's a term for it, being an empath. But when I was younger, I basically always used to get, that's another reason why I take it as a negative thing, because when I was younger, I was so sensitive. Jasmine looking at me like, oh my God, like you're not sensitive at all.
No.
When I was younger, I used to get made fun of for being like so sensitive.
Same.
And then so that's the reason why now as an adult, I feel like that's the reason why I look at it in a negative way, because I was being made fun of it for growing up.
Yeah. With my cousins, they would call me la emo, because I was emo.
Oh,
la emocional. La emocional. Because I was so emotional, and also I was like emo. Because
she loved a little rock.
Well, I was always like a rock girly, like a rock metal girly. Like that was my thing. Like I felt like I would like listen to rock and metal, and everyone was also listening to other music. But
yeah, and I feel like everyone, not to say it, because I feel like everyone.
Well, it was a trend. It was a trend, but it was actually me. Like it was actually
that was actually who you were. Yeah. But it was actually a trend when everyone wanted to be like emo or goth.
It was a trend.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I think I even had my side swoop band, wearing black and stuff.
Yeah.
Like nail polish, black eyeliner.
Bringing it back to your question, for me, I think I noticed in like the beginning of undergrad, like when I started community college, I think I'll bring it back to my toxic relationship. Like I think something people were like, how could you stay? But it was because I was so empathetic to what he was going through that I
could use that against you.
Yes, and actually that's a thing, like where empaths are targeted by narcissists.
Gross.
Because they work so well with each other.
And they know that they can use their emotions, their little made up emotions, to kind of will you in and keep you there.
Yes.
you'll easily feel bad for that person.
Yeah, so I was an empath and he was a narcissist, and so that's how I was. Yeah. But that's when I noticed in undergrad that I was an empath, because I was way too emotional.
Well, I guess you answered my next question. Which is gonna be like, have you guys ever been in a situation that being empathetic has put you like in a disadvantage, like emotionally, like, oh my god, why am I this? Like, start questioning it, like in a situation you're like, why am I this way?
That's me all the time, honestly. Okay. That's what I'm working on in therapy, guys. To try to change that mindset of looking at being, because I call it, I call myself being overly sensitive, and I look at being sensitive as a negative thing. But I was having the conversation with my brother, not literally earlier this week, and I kept saying like, I hate how I'm so sensitive. He's like, maybe change that word and stop saying sensitive and just saying like you're more aware of your surroundings, because there's some people that's not aware, so they don't realize the energy in the room. They're not aware of their own emotions. And I'm like, I feel like I'm overly aware of my emotions and how other people's emotions affect me as well. So yeah, what was your question?
Just in a situation that you're just like, oh my god, I hate it, but you say you've been like all your life like hating the fact that you're an empath.
Yeah. For me, it's also been because I was made fun of too for being emotional, and then I think to this day, like even on the podcast, like I remember you guys would be like, "Oh, Jasmine was always crying. Jasmine's always crying. Jasmine's crying all the time." But I love who I am. Like I love like the connections it allows me to make, and while I did make mistakes as a young adult, like with my relationships, I learned from them, and I learned like. I think just like about who I was and what I was able to give people emotionally, like especially I think working as an EMT, it's really funny because I meet patients all the time. They don't know me, and they always come to me and they're like, you have this energy about you that is so like comforting, and I'm like, thank you. Like it makes me proud to be who I am. Like, yeah, I'm sensitive, but I care. Like I care. Like I don't know. It's just I care.
Yeah, and I get the same thing. It's like not a weird energy. I feel like my energy is very welcoming in a sense, because there's so many times, so many stories that this has happened, but I'll literally be walking in the store, minding my own business, and someone will come up to me and just tell me about their life, and I'm just there listening and like just being that open ear. Yeah. And I used to think that was so weird, and now I understand it's just a blessing that I have. Yeah. And even in undergrad, I remember having a professor. Mind you, I came from high school, went to college, and in my head, I thought college was just a bunch of adults and maturity, but I remember it was my epidemiology professor, and I don't know what it was, but she literally told me her whole life story about like her boyfriend, and I'm there just listening. I was like,
professor?
My professor.
Dang, dude.
Literally like opening up to me. I was like, to me it's still in my head, like it's kind of weird that people do that, but people feel so comfortable with like opening up to me. And I was like, maybe instead of being a nurse practitioner, I could have been like a therapist or something.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Because literally people just will come up and open up to me. I'm just like, just listen. It happens very often. I don't know.
Huh.
It's my calling.
What about in healthcare? Do you think that's a good thing or a bad? Not do you guys work in healthcare? Is it a good thing or a bad thing, or has anybody told you otherwise?
Funny that you say that, because I've heard this, or people tell me this all the time, because they're like, you're so sensitive. That's not going to work in healthcare. I beg to differ. Honestly, I believe it's actually helped me be a better like person to work in healthcare. Like I feel like I go above and beyond what I'm supposed to do. Like even like the example of that I was talking to you guys earlier, but like I had a patient who I was dropping off yesterday, and they were going home on hospice, and they lived by the ocean, and my first thought is I want them to see the beauty that I'm seeing right now. I know their life is tough, and I just want to make them smile. I just want to brighten up their day. Like I know I've never dealt with this myself, but I could only imagine. And I felt like when I picked her up, like I felt her sadness, and I felt the sadness in the room, and I didn't want her to be sad. So as soon as like I saw the ocean, I flipped the ambulance over and I opened the doors and she saw the ocean and my partner was like, she's smiling. And to me, like, I don't know, like, I think it allows me to be better and think about things that I can do to make someone feel more comforted. And
you picking up her energy,
yeah,
and in that sense, and then it's like, oh, I want to do something about it to change her mood around.
Yeah,
and I feel like if a person, not to say, I don't know about you, because Kathy, I know you say you maybe not so empathetic, but I wonder if a person who's not in tune with emotions and other people's emotions, if they were to realize like, hey, let me take this, because we don't know when is her last day on this earth, let me take this lady to watch the ocean, because I don't know how long she'll be here.
Yeah,
and to change her mood around.
Yeah, and even like my partner, she's like, oh, that was so sweet that you did that. And I was like, I don't know, dude. Like, I saw that she was not having the best day, and it's so simple. Just turn the car around and open the doors, and she can see the ocean. Like, you know,
that's so sweet.
Yeah, that's cute. Yeah. I love it.
It was really nice, and I'm like, okay, like, you can do little things like that anywhere, but it's like you said, picking up on the mood and their feelings. And to me it's natural, because I feel like I really truly 100% believe I'm an empath. I believe it. I believe it.
Yeah.
It has its negatives, I'm not gonna lie.
Girl,
like, if you're in a bad mood, you can put me in a bad mood like this. Like, that's the thing.
That's another reason why.
That's the negative.
Yes.
That
explains a lot to me now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Like,
that's
us.
Yeah.
I
could.
Yeah. We're getting on each other's mood right now. Like,
It's because, okay, so for the listeners, there have been situations where we like record and I feel the energy. I'm like, are they mad?
Like something's off.
Yeah, I'm like,
if one of we like feed on each other sometimes.
Yeah, and then like now that I know why, I'm like, okay, maybe if I come out with positivity, maybe like somebody will pick up on it.
But if we're both in that same mood, like we're going downhill, one of us has to pick it up, or we both have to pick it up.
Yeah, even like you said, because we did not, listeners. We're trying to get these episodes in. We're behind episodes. So there's going to be a lot of part 1s and part 2s, because we're recording multiple episodes in a day. Yeah. When I tell you, Jasmine and I, we're over it. We're over it.
Done.
We did not want to record
Finito.
This episode. Like, I was trying my best to get out of this episode to recording.
We were trying our best to get out of this episode.
And Kathy, no, we got to do it. We don't have enough time.
Because I was stressing. So I have a family situation where I'm not going to be here. I got to travel. So I'm stressing to get all these episodes in.
Yeah. And we were both feeding off of each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Definitely feeding off of each other.
Yeah.
But that's another reason why people say it's so important to, you can't have everyone in your space. Like, depending on their energy, it's not good to have. Because I don't know if you felt it. I feel it when someone has negative energy, you bring that into your home, and then your whole home dynamic will shift.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's the thing. That's why it's like, people energies do affect the other person.
A lot.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me, okay, so now I feel bad. Because I told you guys all my issues, and I'm like,
no, that's different.
No,
that doesn't affect me. That doesn't affect. Yeah, that's not.
It depends. If it's something super depressing, where say that day or that week I was not having like the best of a week, I feel like that's everyone. And then you put on like your problems and your traumas, like, oh, this is a lot. Mm-hmm. But then again, I'm able to say like, hey, Kathy, this is not the good time for me right now.
Oh, but also you guys are able to like put those boundaries.
Decom.
Yeah, learn. Okay. Learning over time.
But also, it also depends on how you say it too.
Okay.
Yeah. Like the energy that you bring it with. And I feel like the energy you've brought it with hasn't been something that's been so negative where it would, so that's why I say no. That's why I say no. It depends on the energy you bring it with, if that makes any sense.
Oh.
It does.
Okay, no, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's good to know.
And to answer your question, for me, like I said, I've been working on it not being such a negative thing. Like, in my head, I still feel that me being overly sensitive is a negative thing. Like, I still like, dang, I wish I wasn't so emotional and everything's such a crybaby. Because even someone can have a conversation and they start crying, and then me, I was like, Linda, don't do it. Don't start crying. It's not about you. It's not about you.
I don't even have to know you. You're a stranger. And I'm like over here like,
you start feeling bad. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. And then that's another reason why, besides like the trauma of working in a hospital, that's another reason why I always say, like, I don't want to work in a hospital because the hospitals, it would drain me so much. To me, the hospitals, in my mind, is already depressing. Like, people, if you're in a hospital, it's because you're sick. Something is not going right, something. So that's another reason I'm like, hospitals are not for me.
And I get that, and I have flipped it into the sense where I'm like, yes, they are very negative, but I also like grew up seeing healthcare in a positive light, and I want to be that positive light in healthcare. Kind of like, I want to make these environments more comforting. It is a really scary, dark place to be in, but it's also like something that I'm going to be combating every day, and I'm willing to do that if I know that I can give like my patients a better environment. And I think giving them a better environment and seeing the product of that will help me combat the negativity that there is in healthcare.
Oh no, like the hospitals, they have some great nurses that just do that.
No, I'm just saying that about myself though.
But for me, it's like, yes, I will be supportive, everything, but then I'll take all of that home with me. So that's why catch me in primary care. Trying to prevent patients from being admitted into the hospital.
Catch me outside the hospital.
Catch me outside, next door somewhere. But for me, even right now with my preceptorship, like clinicals, even my preceptor, not to give so much information because it's a learning lesson for me, but even then she mentioned how, she didn't say the word sensitive, those are my words because I told her that I'm super sensitive, and then she also mentioned that that's something that can't be taught. Like, you have some doctors, some healthcare providers that is doing it just for the money, and that sensitivity and like caring for the patient is not there. And it's a good thing that I already have that sensitivity and caring for like the patients and like a person in general. But she's there to teach me all the other stuff, like the hands-on stuff. And
that's something you got to do yourself.
Yeah, pretty much. And then she would say that, she's gonna teach me to have tougher skin for certain situations, because she said that which is true, that I'm there to support my patients. If the patient's crying, I can't be alone with patients crying, like, and making it about me, because my goal, or what the reason why I'm there is to support the patient, not for the patient to be comforting me. So even then, I would have to learn how to control my emotions for it, so it won't like overwhelm me in situations that are very uncomfortable. Because even though I'm not working in the hospital, there still would be patients coming into my clinic that are dealing with a bunch of hard stuff, like a lot of hard stuff. So I have to learn how to put my emotions at bay, still be empathetic, but be able to deliver the care without my emotions affecting them.
And it's hard.
It's very hard.
Because I had a situation where a patient, I was volunteering and I was translating, and I've mentioned this before, but basically the patient came in and was talking to admin about finances, and they were checking in and everything, and the administrator asked the patient if they had insurance, and the patient said, no, I don't have insurance. And then he was like, I don't have money. So I'm translating back and forth without really kind of listening. I'm more like, I think, trying to make sure I'm translating everything word for word than actually listening to what I'm saying. So one of the things she said was, you can go home and save yourself the bill. And I translated it without me hearing what I was saying, but I said it. And I took a second to, like, when you say something, it takes you a second to think about, to process. I processed it, and I looked over at him, and he was like, oh, I don't remember exactly what he said, but he's like, oh, okay. Keep in mind, he came in for chest pain, which is something that
it's an emergency.
Exactly. And so he, like, walked away, and, like, I started tearing up, dude, and I was like, I had to, like, basically, like, close my eyes and, like, let the tears, like, leave me before and then, like, as they the tears left because I was like, you can't go to him crying. Like, you can't go to him crying. So I like wiped my tears away.
The hardest moments.
I wiped my tears away.
Damn.
No, I know, because I'm like, I told you I'm sensitive.
Those are hard.
Because I just like, literally as soon as I said that, like I saw him like sink. Like I saw his, like,
the
he
whole
sunk.
mood and
yeah,
everything.
like he was like, oh, I'll go home. Like, okay. And
Aww.
like I saw it.
Feelings.
No, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he walked away so fast too. He walked away and I'm over here like trying to compose myself, and I'm like, okay, Jasmine, you need to go talk to him. It's like I made sure that I wasn't crying when I approached him, because I was like, you can't be crying, you know, when you're here trying to help him. So like I had to like hold in my tears, and then I walked up to him and we were able to figure something out. But yeah, like I had to like hold my tears in.
You literally, you're talking to yourself in your head, like, don't get emotional,
like,
don't get emotional. It's not about you. You have to help this patient. It's not about you. Those are literally the thoughts that we be having.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
And
because for me, it's more like, I don't know if I'm not empathetic. I want to say
No. It's not that you're not empathetic. And being empathetic and being an empath are different.
Two
different.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So so basically with me is that I've always been taught, like, for you to work in healthcare, you have to have like tough skin. Like, you cannot be so sensitive. You cannot cry. And then that's always been told to me. So I'm like, okay, you need to work on it, right? You can't cry. So there were situations as I was working as a CNA where I wanted to like cry because some of these patients are going through hard stuff. A
lot of stuff,
right? Yeah. And then when I call my dad, he's like, well, that's the job. So I'm like, click. And then I was like, this is another person. And then same. So like, I would start crying and he'll be like, oh, that's the job. So I was like, okay, so you're not the person for this.
Yeah, that's because they don't understand.
Yeah, and then like, it was just one night that it was bad. And then I think I called Linda. But I called Linda to talk about it, but I guess she didn't know what I was going through. Mm-hmm. But it helped me that you listened to me. Mm-hmm. When I was like, dude, this is not easy. And then I remember you telling me like, you cannot take the job with you. Basically.
That's the hardest part.
Yes. Mm-hmm. It's like, you cannot take the job with you. You need to, like, just, if you're going to cry, don't cry in front of a patient. Do it outside or, do it. So I think that's why. And then because I've always, ever since I'm little, I always seen crying because it's trauma that I have. Like, as a weakness.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah.
So that's why I have conditioned myself.
Therapy.
I have conditioned myself to, instead of you crying, you're angry. Or instead of you crying, you put that inside. Yeah.
That makes sense, Kathy.
Mm-hmm. Because that's what I had this conversation with my therapist like a week ago.
That makes a lot of sense.
A lot, actually.
Because she's like, you deal with situations differently. Mm-hmm. Like, I could, obviously I do have feelings, but
she's not a stone.
Yeah. But then that's why sometimes when stuff happen, I don't get sad, I get mad and I do something about it, or I
start lashing out.
Yeah, I start. Yes. So that's why it's just like, you don't get sad, you get angry. So that's why and then it sucks that they put that in my head because I don't like it, but it's gonna take time to get there.
I think the first step is definitely acknowledging it, which you've done. Mm-hmm. Second step is working on it, which you're doing, and I think you're working towards it, which is amazing.
Yeah,
but it's crazy that you say that because like you flipped it around and made it anger. For me, it's like I still see it as a weakness, but I still get super emotional. I avoid those emotions as much as possible by trying to remove myself from certain situations. But another part of me is like, dang, I wish I would get a little angry than so emotional.
You don't want to get
not super angry, but just a little bit of angry. For me, like situations that should be more so like anger than like overly like letting it affect my feelings, like the emotional side.
Yeah, like there were situations that I speak with Linda about, and she gets emotional, and I just get angry. I'm like, bro,
two different night and day.
And I'm like, why do you do this? And then she's like, just gets emotional, and I'm like, well, if I was there, I would have done something.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So yeah, like that's one thing. And then it's also I guess I'm not the first person who said it, but also like some of my instructors have talk about it, that we as nurses or as healthcare providers, we're taught to like, you can have emotions, but we're human beings.
I hate that.
Yeah.
I hate that. I literally hate that. Because it's like, what are we supposed to be, robots? Like,
But then that's another thing I feel like they are trying to change in healthcare. Yes. Because I do hear now, it's to have emotions. Don't let it overwhelm you where you can't do your job. But it's okay to have those emotions. You're human.
Yeah, and I was glad when he said that, because I, coming from like a place where like everybody has told me, well, that's the job, deal with it. Like you have to be strong. You can't cry. You can't blah blah blah. You can't feel, until he said it. Like an instructor said it and told me, like, basically, like I felt like he was telling me, like, it's okay. Like it's okay to have emotions,
and it is okay. Like it's tough stuff. Like it's tough. It's like I go through. I go to work, and like I see sad stuff all the time. Like at work, like someone passes away, someone's passing away, someone's going on hospice, someone just signed their DNR, and the family didn't want them to. Yes. Like I see so many different things, and it's sad, but it's the reality. And I guess the one way that I cope with it is knowing that I'm working to do good. Like I can't change everything and I can't do everything, but I'm doing what I can. And I think that's where I'm able to find some sort of solace, I think, in that. Because I know that I'm just doing what I can and trying, but sometimes I'm gonna be more sad than other days, I think.
And that's what I'm trying to teach myself, and it's okay.
Yeah.
Like it's okay when you're sad. It's It's okay.
Yeah.
And then I feel that your patients can relate to you and respect you even more when you show that side of you, because it's like, oh, you actually care for me. You're not just here to do your job, but you actually care. And the patients who have those type of providers, those are the providers that they remember and they respect. And everything, and so does the family.
Yeah, like for one of my classes, I read a book that talked about, it was like the heart map. I wouldn't say that was the name of the book. Basically, you talk about vulnerability and how in order for us to be like good providers, good nurses, it's okay to be vulnerable. I have a hard time with that word. Sorry.
No, you're good.
And
saying the word or feeling vulnerable.
No,
I have a hard time feeling.
So, and she was saying, like, the lady that wrote the book did a lot of research about it, and she said that when a provider is vulnerable with their patient is more open to them, and they, like what you said, Linda, they respect them more. And then I feel for a healthcare provider to have that relationship with the patient is crucial. Because if you have like a really good relationship with your patient, they're able to tell you everything, and that way you could give like a better solution and
better care.
I agree. So when I read that, I was like, oh, okay, so it's okay to be vulnerable.
That's why I see it as like, there are a lot of negatives, like, like you take things home, you hold on to things, you feel these emotions and all that, but also, like, what are you there to do?
Provide care.
Provide the best care that you can, right? You can't do that without building that connection. Can't build that connection without being the word you can't say and can't
vulnerable.
Exactly. So I feel like it's like stepping stones, and I think that being vulnerable and feeling these emotions are crucial, honestly, to work in healthcare. Which is really funny because I remember people saying this all the time. You're so sensitive. How are you going to work in healthcare? It's helping me. It's helping me be better and connect more with my patients. So I don't know. I see it as a aid, as something that helps me. So
yeah. Like I said, I still feel like I'm in between the good and the bad. I see both sides.
It's going to be a work in progress. And I'm like for me, like you're working on it. Like, I probably am, like, I'm seeing hard stuff, but I also don't work in healthcare 24/7. I only work part-time. So it may change when I work there 24/7 or when I'm there like more often.
Yeah, and that's why it's another good thing to just know yourself and know your emotions, because there are people, I feel like, will be like me, but people who's actually working in healthcare 24/7, 7 days a week. Like, they can do 24/7.
Yeah.
But it takes a lot mentally, especially even with like healthcare and organization. Like, there's no boundary.
Hold it. Let's pause right here. Stay tuned for part 2.
Thanks for listening to this episode of PG3 with your hosts Linda, Jasmine, and Catherine. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe at a potent dose of 3 so that you never miss an episode and your weekly dose.